July 21st. You are joining us live behind the lights and cameras of the TV show Wake Up, Explore Your Passion, to hear the personal successes and real challenges in the pursuit of a dream here in Hollywood. This is Wake Up Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Ray, and joining us live today in the studio is my co-host and good friend, Mr. Fuzz Edwards.
Glad to be here, Ryan, and we want to thank all our watchers and listeners, and also remind them that we will be taking your live calls throughout the show. So if you have a question or you want to make a comment about something that you hear, please call us at 646-727-3841. That's 646-727-3841.
Absolutely. We always love hearing from all of our listeners and viewers. Thank you guys for signing into the chat room this morning. We are here in the studio with another fantastic guest today. And I know, Fuzz, you always say I shouldn't say everyone's fantastic because we got to keep raising the bar.
Fantastic, so amazing. But
this on me really means it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's right. This girl has got some energy. Alexis Jones, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, I haven't had a chance to really chat with you.
Yeah, unlike our hour and 40
And that was what was
conversation
cracking me up, is
yesterday.
because I was sitting and he kept laughing and going on, and that's amazing, that's amazing. I'm like, who is he talking to, Jesus? Like, really, what could be that amazing? So I'm really excited to get into this story.
All right, well, let's do it, because I'll tell you what, we don't have a lot of time in the show.
Go for it.
And Alexis, what you are all about is exploring the true possibility and ignoring the impossibility.
Absolutely.
One of the first and most things that you're probably known for is...
Survivor.
That's right. That's right.
You know what's funny is I don't even know where you're going to go there. I was going to say, well, I did win The Price is Right, and that's pretty cool, too. Okay, it's pretty cool.
But you've done a lot of great things.
But I've done,
Would you buy my lottery ticket this week,
see,
please?
I am lucky lady. Do you say that?
Yeah.
Lady Luck. There you go.
Luck.
I'm Lady Luck.
She's
But yes, Survivor.
Lady Luck isn't smiling on you. You are Lady Luck. Most people who want to be on Survivor go through a process which involves submitting an application, making a video, submitting all this months before they do the actual shoot.
Yeah.
You didn't believe in the typical process. You had other plans. Let's talk about how it happened. How did you make it happen, Alexis?
So I was sitting in grad school. It was my last week of grad school, and my professor gave a 4-hour lecture on how influential reality TV was on youth today. And I was launching my company right out of that. So I run to his office hours, and I say, I have the best idea ever. I'm going to go on a reality TV show. What do you think about it? We could use it to strategically promote this company. And his response patronizingly was like, okay, sure, you go get on a reality TV show. So I went home that night. I logged on to Survivor. I was 2.5 months past the due date. And
2.5 months?
2.5 months past. I remember looking at it and I was like, wait, 2007. I was like, dang,
what did
I
you
missed
think
it
when you saw you had missed the deadline?
Honestly, I was like, okay, next challenge. Like, that was it. It's funny how that didn't even, for like a split second, I was like, due date. I have to know someone. That's always kind of my go-to is, I feel like I'm a little avant-garde when I want something, and that was the last thing that was going to stop me. So I started calling in favors from friends, got Mark Burnett's secret production company address, which I promised, I swore to secrecy that I would not say Steve Desmond, who gave me the address.
Who just got fired.
I think it's been enough years, so I think that they'd actually probably appreciate him.
Statute of limitations.
Exactly. Anyway, so he gave me the address, and I made a video that day, and I showed up, and there was a huge cement wall and gates, and there was a button, and I remember I hit the call box button. I remember thinking, I'll come up with a name. I'll come up with something, my lack of improv skills. So me, his gruff voice on the other end of the line is like, hello? And I'm like, and I totally freeze. I panic. And he was like, yeah, can I help you? Who are you here to see? And I'm like, like looking around, and I throw out the name Cecilia. Never met a Cecilia in my life. So, like, I always joke that, what an uncommon name. Maybe Lauren or Stephanie or Jenny.
Lauren.
Like, someone who might actually be there, but Cecilia. And the guy's like, Cecilia? I'm like, yeah, I think that's her name. And within seconds, he's like, oh, wait, yeah, 1 second. He's like, and the door's open. Now I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, what if she's actually here? How am I going to explain that? I walk in, long story short, the woman at the front desk, she was like, honey, my name is Cynthia, happens all the time. We start chatting, and I'm like, Cynthia, that's what I meant. And within 15 minutes, she was like, so what are you doing here? And I say, I'm here for Survivor. And she says, oh, you're one of the 48 finalists that they just flew in.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
As a matter of fact,
did you recognize me, girl? Yeah. So they sent me in, and I had about 35 seconds to convince the producers that I thought it was in their best interest to cast me for their show.
Because they knew that you weren't on their list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they'd whittled it down from 60,000 applicants to the final 10 that they actually cast for the show, because we were playing against All-Stars, so there's only 10 people cast for the entire show.
And so they didn't throw you out? Like, that didn't outrage them or whatever?
That's the thing, is that I walked in and they were like, wait, what's your name? And they were flipping back and forth through all their papers. And I said, Alexis Jones. Like, come on, what? I'm not on your list? So I played that game for about 10 seconds because I was not very, they did not think that was adorable.
Yeah.
It was like a waste of their time. Like, what, are you the coffee girl? Like, how'd you get in here?
Right.
And so I said, look, I'm an All-American Southern Belle, Texas tomboy. I hiked Mount Everest after undergrad. I'm hardcore. I'm not going to give up. If I can get past your security, it's probably in your best interest to put me in your show, basically. And they were like, dang. And Mark Burnett looked over and he's like, my God, she's pretty convincing. Like, it's like a pretty good sale. And I was like, yes, and like, what do you think? And I got cast, and I left a week later.
Unbelievable.
So,
who does that? Who does that?
Alexis Jones does.
Alexis Jones, and you've done more than that. That's just one of the first things that. Actually, that's not one of the first things. There were more things before that.
Yeah.
But a week later, you flew out.
Yeah, I flew out for Survivor, and it's funny because I thought that this was this brilliant PR stint. Of great, I'm going to go out there, and the one thing my professor said was you have to last. At the end of the day, like, I can help you strategically with the branding side of it, and every single interview, pre-interview, it was Alexis Jones, motivational speaker, CEO of I Am That Girl, a company that didn't exist yet. And even when I left the game, I had 67 interviews that day, and in every interview I was able to talk about I Am That Girl. But his whole thing was like, the only thing I can't control or help you out with is you have to last on the show. And so I went out there and ended up being exponentially harder than I could have ever imagined. I tell people that I went 13 days without eating. That was the longest that I went. I lost 30 pounds. I broke my hand. I blew out my knee. I macheted my foot. I got stung by a really poisonous scorpion 3 times while I was out there. Twice I went 4 days with no water, so I was just like passed out in the jungle. It was like time for a challenge, and they're like, Lex, where are you? And I'm like, oh, like totally in the bushes somewhere, and they're like, what is going on? The big joke in Survivor history is like everything that could possibly go wrong to one person happened to me. And so I always say that in retrospect, that experience was such an opportunity to gain a sense of fortitude and resilience I'd never known.
Wow.
And it was one thing to go into this, with this kind of this idea of like, great, I can use this and it'd be really fantastic. But then to go 33 days of the hardest experience. And like I said, I'm an extreme sports junkie.
And all of the challenges that you faced, I'm sure, only boosted the drama and your notoriety and recognizability. Alexis, we're going to talk a little bit more about your company, I Am That Girl, a little bit about what it stands for, how you started that. We'll be back here with Wake Up Radio in just a moment. Stay with us.